So you got a couple challenge problems, and I'll do this one on Monday. Show that the derivative of sine is cosine using a limit. You need that trig identity. And then you should get your dynamic tangent line, secant line done this weekend as well. And send it to me, right? So let's just look at this limit. So knowing, it looks like I know how to write, knowing the limit as x goes to 0 of sine of 3x over 2x is, sorry, sine of x over x is 1. Find the limit as x goes to 0 of sine of 3x over 2x. Now we did it last time using a trig identity, but I want to do it this time using a theta substitution. Yes, you with me? Just say yes for me. You with me? Good. So what am I going to let theta be? Nope. Nope. What is theta? It's a variable representing a what? Say it. No. An angle. So where's my angle here? What's the angle I'm talking about here? Nope. 3 what? 3x. Right? Sine of theta, right? Sine of an angle. Cos of an angle. Tangent of an angle, et cetera, right? So theta is 3x. Which implies what? That x is what? Nice. Note, as x goes to 0, theta goes to what? Zero. Yeah, obviously, right? 3 times something really close to 0 is 0, so theta is going to 0 as well. So the limit becomes, the limit as x goes to 0 of sine 3x over 2x is the limit as theta goes to 0 of sine of theta over theta, 2 theta over 3. And you're like, well, how am I supposed to know to do this? Well, I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you, right? We did a trig identity last class, and then with a theta sub, and then we did a really horrible one with a trig identity, and now I'm doing that one with a theta sub. So what coefficient comes out here? What coefficient comes out of the limit? Yeah, 3/2, nice. So it's 3/2 times the limit of theta goes to 0 of sine of theta over theta must be 3/2 times what? Where does that original limit go to? 1. So 3/2. Nice. Our last topic, our last thing to do today, and then we'll take the quiz. Try and give you a little bit more time on the quiz today. But again, if you're looking at it and you don't know how to do it, you've looked at your formula sheet, you've tried something on Desmos, you've even asked me, and I said, well, you have to factor it. And if you haven't practiced factoring, don't sit there and stare at it. It's not going to magically happen, right? So you got to practice. You got to do all the old quizzes, all my old exams, my chapter 2 exam, my midterm exams, etc. You got to work on everything. The review sheet, read the book, rewrite your notes. This is serious. Calc 2 is more difficult. We've got to get to work. Get to work or get out, right? That's what it is anytime. Can't fake it. Got to get some work done. Got to ask for help. If you need help, I want you to ask for help. That's why I teach at a community college. I don't have to do research to get paid. I teach to get paid. If I worked at a university, I would have to be writing papers and theorems, and that's how I get paid. But here, I teach to get. That's what I do. That's what my job is, and I love to teach. Me lecturing is not me teaching. I teach when you need help, and I say, okay, you tell me, you show me what you're doing. Let me see where I see where you're making mistakes, and I can try and say to you, well, I'll say to you, what? You don't know how to factor, or you're not distributing right? Or your paper's a mess. You got to be more organized. Clean it up, right? That's what I'm teaching. Yeah, sure. Yeah. One more time. Well, it's a 2/3. Do you agree? But it's downstairs, so I could have taken out a 1 over 2/3, but then I just do my keep change flip from like 4th grade. Keep the top fraction, change the divide to multiply, and flip the second fraction. So knowing, etc., same problem as before, right? Find the limit as x goes to 0 of sine of 4x over 3 using a trig identity. And of course, you could do it with a theta sub as well on your own, right? Most likely, I would tell you use a trig identity on the quiz on Monday. So I taught this yesterday, right? So that means I'm expecting you to have questions for me today. You didn't ask any questions, which means the next day I can quiz on it. I will always give a 1-day buffer of what I'm teaching before I assess you on it. In fact, before the first exam, I will have a whole day of review only. On that day, there's no quiz. On test day, there's no quiz. Duh. The weird thing about test day is we start at 12, we end at 2. It's only a 2-hour exam. So what do you think? What's star here? Sine of 4x, over 3x, sorry. What's my trig identity I can use? Nope, can't take the 4 out. Nice. 2 times sine 2x cos 2x. Right? We know sine 2 theta is 2 times sine theta cos theta. Right? We got that memorized, or we have it on our formula sheet, or we have a tattoo, right? I don't have what I want yet. What do I want? Sine x over x, right? So I don't have what I want. So what can I do? What can I do with this? Sine 2x becomes 2 sine x cos x. So I have 4 thirds. Sine x over x cos squared x. Everyone agree? Anyone agree? Anyone agree? Does anybody agree? Where did the cosine go? I got a cosine times a cosine. Oh, thank you. Ha ha. You're right. You shouldn't have agreed. Nice. Good. Sorry. So the limit as x goes to 0 of 4 thirds sine x over x cos of 2x can become 4 limits. Product of 4 limits. The limit as x goes to 0 of 4 thirds times the limit as x goes to 0 of sine x over x times the limit as x goes to 0 of cos x times the limit as x goes to 0 of cos 2x. Remember, I'm just multiplying a bunch of functions together, so what happens to the heights? It just becomes, right? The heights multiplied together. And the limit is simply just the height. So I can take the limit of a sum to get the sum of the limits, or I can take the limit of the product to get the product of the limits, etc., etc. So the first one is just plain old 4 thirds, right? I'm asking what's the height of 4 thirds? 4 thirds. The second one is 1. The next one is cos of 0. And the next one is cos of 2 times 0. Well, cos of 0 and cos of 2 times 0 is 1, right? So I get 4 thirds. Yep. I used to teach in Hollywood. I lived in LA for 10 years. I taught high school in Los Angeles. I taught Paris Hilton. And she said 16 over 64, you can just cross out the 6's and get 1/4. You got the right answer, yes, Paris, but you can't do that. You can't just take the 4 out of the sign, right? You have to use the trig identities. I said to Paris, solve for x, right? And she said, I said, find x. She said, here it is. I'm only kidding. I didn't teach Paris Hilton. It's just a funny joke. You cannot take out the 4 from the sine function. Well, actually, I only have 9 minutes to teach a very difficult section, so it's not going to happen. So I'll just give you the quizzes, okay?